Now let's talk about what we mean when we say our portfolio is cohesive. We define cohesion as the ability to capture synergies between our capabilities and reapply them to multiple market access platforms. Let's look at some examples, starting with our 3 core technologies. We use our glass science expertise to formulate glasses with the right optical, chemical, mechanical, and thermal properties for a particular application. When you hear glass science, you probably think of display technologies. But we also use glass science to continually reinvent optical fiber, to create new applications, deliver higher performance, and reduce cost. And today, we're using our glass science expertise to create next generation pharmaceutical packaging. Optical physics refers to our ability to characterize and control the path of light. Our optical communications products are the most obvious application, but we also leverage this capability for iris glass, where the management of light distribution creates strong advantages for liquid crystal displays and allows our customers to design TVs that are just half a centimeter thick. In addition, we applied our optical physics expertise to create anti-reflective glass, which makes mobile devices and display screens in cars much easier to read. When you hear ceramic science, our emission control products probably come to mind first. But we also applied this expertise to make the proprietary ceramic component that lies at the heart of our fusion draw process, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And today, we're introducing beautiful glass ceramics to create new design possibilities in mobile consumer electronics. Now let's turn to our 4 manufacturing and engineering platforms. Our vapor deposition process makes glass so pure that if it replaced the water in the ocean, you could see the bottom clearly from any point on the surface. Vapor deposition is essential to make low-loss optical fiber. It's also the foundation for our high-purity fused silica, which enables stepper lenses that are used to fabricate the small, power-efficient semiconductors that you use every day in your mobile devices. More recently, we applied vapor deposition to create our new Gorilla SR Plus composite, which is specially designed for wearable devices. Our fusion process allows us to make sheets of glass twice the size of a king-size bed, as thin as a business card, and flat to within 200 atoms. We use this platform to make our industry-leading display glass, as well as our tough, thin Gorilla Glass for mobile consumer electronics and automotive applications. But we also leverage our fusion process to enable flexible OLED displays. And it's helping us create new interconnects for high-speed switches, routers, and servers. Precision forming is exactly what it sounds like. We use our precision forming assets to make life science vessels that require an extremely high degree of accuracy, such as liquid handling tools and cell growth surfaces. We apply this same expertise to make optical connectors that align hair-thin fibers perfectly and eliminate the need for splices. Precision forming is also enhancing the value proposition of Gorilla Glass for auto interior applications. That brings us to extrusion. Now, if you've ever made your own fresh pasta, you are already familiar with the basics of extrusion. We do the high-tech version. Corning's expertise in extrusion is why our cellular ceramic substrates can pack the surface area of a football field into an object the size of a soda can. We also use extrusion to make highly reliable and accurate pipettes for life science applications. And we're leveraging this same expertise to make durable optical fiber cables for data centers, as well as other applications. Those are just a few examples. But you can see that we are constantly reapplying our knowledge and repurposing our assets across product sets and markets. So, what happens when our portfolio meets a customer opportunity? Now, we have a lot of examples, but let's look at one that's become a bit of a legend. Most of you have heard the story about Steve Jobs coming to us to provide glass for Apple's first iPhone. I'd like to give you the insider's view. Less than 6 months before the highly anticipated iPhone launch, Steve was incredibly frustrated by how badly the plastic cover on his own phone was scratching after just a few weeks of routine use. Now, he was already a big fan of glass from a design perspective, so he turned to Corning to supply a glass cover that would resist scratches and other damage. Now, we were pretty confident that we could make a glass that was tough enough for him. We weren't so sure that we could make it fast enough to meet his super tight deadline. But we are not in the habit of disappointing customers. So we assembled our top glass scientists and launched a crash development program. A couple of folks even delayed their retirement to work on the project because they believed so strongly in the opportunity. Corning had experimented with damage-resistant glass in the 1960s, so we started by drawing on that knowledge. We then developed more than 100 new glass compositions before we felt like we had one with the right attributes. But developing the composition was just the first hurdle. When we learned how much glass Apple required, we realized we needed a scalable manufacturing platform instead of the small specialty tanks we originally had in our minds. So we repurposed our fusion assets with a few engineering modifications for the unique forming characteristics of the new glass. It was a daunting challenge, but we had the best people, the right manufacturing platform, and existing assets that gave us a huge head start. The result was a product that went from idea to commercialization in less than 6 months, and one very satisfied customer. But there's more to the story, including a powerful financial wheel that keeps turning. By repurposing fusion assets from our display business for Gorilla Glass, we initially saved about $800 million in capital spending. Since then, we've unleashed our capabilities to continually improve the composition and make our manufacturing processes more efficient. We're now on our 5th generation of Gorilla, and we've increased sales and profits with each generation. Simultaneously, we've also increased the productivity of our display business, which frees up more assets for mobile consumer electronics. And as we apply more of our existing tanks to meet the growing demand for Gorilla, the savings ramp too. We estimate that we have saved close to $1 billion ramping Gorilla so far. But the real payoff's even larger. By repurposing assets, we also reduce cost and display. When you take that into account, our incremental return on invested capital is through the roof. But that's still not the end of the story. We're now turning that power loose to disrupt the automotive market with new Gorilla Glass products for vehicle interiors and exteriors. Now, even though a car is very different from a phone, we're able to reuse the same talent and the same assets. And after a century in the automotive industry, our customers know us and trust us, so we're an ideal partner. We're on the brink of creating another billion-dollar business, and we believe that we can capture several $100 million of sales with minimal capital investment. No question, the Gorilla story is a powerful example of our cohesive portfolio in action. But it's not unique. It's how we work and what we do over and over again.